All right, as I've explained in my other videos, I went through years of a slump where I just kind of lived with no goals or no passion for anything really, except for dwelling on the past. And eventually, got to a point where it was so bad. I've talked about this in probably every video, where I went to the emergency room and had a bunch of issues. And that's when I found out it was all anxiety and that I was causing all these issues living in negative thoughts. And what pulled me out of this was a bunch of uh, motivational speakers, basically. It just kind of flipped my whole view of life completely. It did so much for me that I'm hoping I can help people the same way other people helped me. So today I'm talking about the law of attraction, basically law of attraction 101 here. It's how you can basically just use your dominant thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and how they influence the experience in your life, basically. I am reading the script, so I will be looking down. So the law of attraction is the idea that your dominant thoughts, emotions, and beliefs influence the experience you attract into your life. And that is basically what you focus on the most. It's going to attract to you negatively or positively. It's going to affect you either way. And this is real. I mean, this is not like mystical fairy stuff. This is like, I lived it. That's how I realized, wow, this is a real thing. At its core, the law of attraction is about how the mind, emotions, focus, and action work together to shape outcomes over time. Everyone already uses it unconsciously. The question isn't whether it's working, the question is whether it's working for you or against you, kind of like what I was just explaining. So the law teaches that what you consistently focus on grows. If you focus on negativity, anxiety will grow. What you emotionally reinforce becomes familiar. What feels familiar influences your decisions and behaviors. So if you're stuck on this one mindset and you get stuck in that mindset for 10 years, your decisions and behaviors are going to be results of that mindset that you've been stuck in for 10 years. From the start, the law of attraction didn't begin on social media. It actually shows up in ancient philosophy, Eastern spiritual traditions, early psychology, and modern neuroscience and behavioral science. And that's where I went when I first learned about it because, like I said, it affected me so much that I realized right away. I was like, wow, this is a real thing. So I started looking for who can validate that there's some proof to this, and neuroscience, that's where it's at. Modern psychology later confirmed many of these ideas. Thoughts influence emotion, emotion influences behavior, and behavior shapes outcomes. The law of attraction is best understood as mental operating system, not a mystical shortcut. The simplest explanation is you tend to attract experiences that match your dominant internal state. If someone constantly expects failure, notices problems, and emotionally rehearses disappointment, they unconsciously make safer decisions, avoid risks, miss opportunities, and confirm their expectations. So if you always expect a bad result, you're going to see a bad result most of the time, or your perception of it is going to be a bad result. If someone constantly expects growth, looks for solutions, and emotionally rehearses success, they tend to take initiative, recover faster from setbacks, notice opportunities others ignore, and persist longer. The external result looks like attraction. The internal cause is alignment between mindset, emotion, and action. So one of the biggest misunderstandings is believing the law of attraction means that just think positive and everything will work out. Which in a way, that's a overall summary that you can use, but that's not how it works. Thoughts matter, but emotion gives thoughts their power. A thought you don't believe has very little influence. So you can sit there and tell yourself you're going to be successful over and over, but if you don't subconsciously believe it, not doing you much good. A thought charged with emotion rewires perception and behavior. That's why repeating affirmations you don't feel rarely work. Visualizations without emotional involvement feel empty. And forced positivity often just collapses under stress. The law of attraction responds to what you consistently feel and believe, not what you casually say. So you have to, most of the books you'll find are subconscious. They're going to teach you how to dig into your subconscious. Because if you can't flip your mind into believing what you're telling yourself, then it's all just a bunch of empty words. Your emotional state becomes your baseline. If stress, worry, or lack feels normal, your mind tries to keep these things familiar, even if familiar isn't comfortable. The brain values predictability over happiness. That's why people return to unhealthy relationships, self sabotage, feel uncomfortable when things start going well, because the law of attraction works through emotional familiarity. You gravitate towards what feels normal. You resist what feels unfamiliar, even if it's better for you. Changing attraction requires retraining emotional comfort zones. Like I said, it's all about retraining your subconscious into actually believing, because you can go through a bad experience, and even if you have convinced yourself you're over it, you might still dream about it for years because it's still in your head. And that's where you have to get these thoughts. Attention shapes reality. Your mind filters reality constantly. You don't see the world as it is. You see the world as you are conditioned to notice it. When you force changes, you notice different opportunities. You interpret events differently. You respond with different behaviors. This is not magical, it's neurological. When you focus on lack, your mind scans for that proof of lack. When you focus on growth, your mind scans for possibilities. And you'll actually notice when you start doing this, your mind, the way your mind starts changing, you'll start seeing opportunities where you didn't before. And this is why so many successful people turn to trying to work on these practices. So beliefs are the hidden drivers. Beliefs determine what feels possible, what feels risky, and what feels for you or not for you. Many people just say they want success, abundance, or love, but subconsciously believe people like me don't get that, or that's for others, or I'd lose it anyway, so I don't deserve it. You're starting to notice, right? I know you've had these thoughts before. The law of attraction doesn't respond to desires, it responds to assumptions. Your life tends to prove what you already assume to be true. So, visualization is a huge part of this. Visualization is not fantasy, it's about mentally rehearsing familiarity. When done properly, visualizations train the nervous system, reduce fear of action, builds expectation, and improves performance. Athletes, surgeons, and performers use it constantly. Michael Phelps, I've said this in other videos, the Michael Phelps story, Conor McGregor, all of these guys have an obsession with visualizing what they did before they became superstars at what they did. The key is feeling it, not just imagining it. It has to be like deep into your inner consciousness. You visualize how you would carry yourself, how you would respond to challenges, how you would make decisions, and this conditions behavior, not just imagination. That's why I've told stories about these guys that they they set a goal to get a job kind of out of their range, and they start dressing and living like they are going to that job. Like they might still be going to their regular job, but they're setting themselves up as if they're going to the new job. They're familiarizing their bodies and their mindsets with going to the new job. This conditions behavior, not just imagination. The law of attraction does not replace action, it guides it. When alignment improves, actions feel clearer, resistance lowers, decisions become easier, and persistence increases. Aligned action feels different from forced action. You still work, you still try, but you move with less internal friction. That's why some people seem lucky. They act consistently because they actually believe the outcomes are possible. Many people block results by trying too hard. Like desperation sends the signal that I don't trust this will actually happen. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing emotional attachment to how it's going to happen or when it will happen. When you stop fighting reality, energy frees up for clearer thinking and better decisions. The law of attraction flows best through Trust and consistency, not obsession. You have to learn to trust it with, like I said, it has to get to your subconscious. It can't just be in your head where you're telling yourself these things. It has to get to your subconscious. Results don't show up instantly because beliefs take time to shift. Habits take time to change, and momentum builds gradually. Most people quit right before alignment catches up. Consistency matters more than intensity. Small shifts repeatedly Small shifts repeated daily outperform dramatic efforts done briefly. And what usually happens with these things, like with me, it was an instant switch in my mind, and I didn't really control it. Like it just kind of it it aligned. It really did. And I learned that the negative thoughts were causing major problems, and I woke up the next morning and saw the Michael Phelps visualization video, and it all just came together. And instantly, it's like telling an addict to get off drugs or stop drinking when they're not ready. It's very hard to do. But once they're ready, it just clicks, it aligns, and it just works out. And in their head, they've clicked where it makes it easy. So, the law of attraction is not a replacement for effort or a denial of hardship or even a way to avoid accountability. It's more of a tool for mental discipline, framework for self-awareness, and a method for directing focus intentionally. Life still includes challenges. The difference is how you interpret and respond to those challenges. For beginners, you can start simple. This is the most important part. This is probably where everybody's waiting to get to. First, notice your dominant emotional state, negative, positive. It can really come down to that. Are you a negative Nancy, or do you actually see like the brighter side of things? Observe your reoccurring thoughts. Are you constantly focusing on negative things or that thing that happened in the past that's held you down? If you are, then you're staying down here. Identify beliefs that feel automatic, subconscious. Choose one area to consciously improve. Practice emotional familiarity with better outcomes. Take aligned, consistent action. No forcing, no pretending, and no bypassing reality, just intentional direction. Set a goal and focus on the goal. The law of attraction isn't about controlling the universe, it's about mastering your inner environment so your outer life changes naturally. When your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions align, opportunities become visible, as I said earlier. Effort becomes sustainable, and growth becomes predictable. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you consistently reinforce. And that is something anyone can learn to do.